I believe a leaf of grass is no less than the journey work of the stars. So wrote the American poet Walt Whitman. When the natural world and the realm of the senses conspire, our sense of wonder soars. This magical orb, this earth, this wonder of wonders, holds within its embrace some special places, pinpoints on the planet where nature reveals its true majesty. Nowhere on Earth is its history and the story of life better revealed than within the Grand Canyon. Ranging in depth from a few hundred feet to more than a mile, and in width from 1 to 20 miles, this abyss in the highlands of northwestern Arizona is like an artist's mold for an upside-down mountain. Indeed, Kaibab, a Native American name for the canyon, means mountain lying down. The Grand Canyon is actually an array of many connected canyons encompassing more than 1,000 square miles. Because much of it is so remote, the canyon contains territory that is still unexplored. A walk along a canyon trail can begin in winter snow at the rim, pass springtime flowers along the way, and end in the heat of desert summer at the bottom of the canyon. But a walk into the canyon is much more than a quick trip through the seasons. It can open one's mind to the timescale of a changing planet and to the story of life over hundreds of millions of years. In 1963, author Colin Fletcher became the first person ever to walk the length of the Grand Canyon, some 277 miles as measured by the winding Colorado. But the miles alone do not begin to express the distance he would ultimately travel on his journey back through time.
I remember now that just for a moment I glimpsed the centuries reaching back and down into the canyon and into the past, back and down into the corridor of time that stretches away behind us. And I saw that if I went down into the canyon, deep into that silence and that space and the solitude, that I just might be able to move, in a sense, down and through the apparently impenetrable face of time.
These rocks at the floor of the canyon are about 2 billion years old. Time deposited other strata upon this foundation. Age after age during the last 200 million years, life emerged from the primordial seas. Plants began to flower and seed and cover the land. The Earth became a green planet. Slowly, the Colorado Plateau began to rise. Separate streams that flowed across the plateau joined forces and formed the mighty Colorado River. This great sculptor then cut and chiseled the canyon. The uplift and the river's rapid force, along with other erosive factors, eventually exposed a wonder of the world, the Grand Canyon, a chasm that enables us to see half the Earth's history. This sanctuary is the work of the river. so is this cavern. Tens of thousands of people could stand inside and still be dwarfed by its immensity. The mighty Colorado River continues to carve its masterpiece. The Colorado that created the Grand Canyon was a far different river than the one that flows through the canyon today. The river was red with mud when Father Francisco Garces, a Jesuit priest, named it Colorado in 1776. Today, the river is no longer Colorado or reddish. It is clear. The mud, rocks, and debris that it carried from the Rocky Mountains all the way to Mexico during the wild days of its early career now collect within Lake Powell. This artificial reservoir was formed by the Glen Canyon Dam, which tamed the Colorado. When Major John Wesley Powell made his historic rafting trip through the canyon in 1869, the river flowed at an average rate of 30,000 cubic feet of water per second. Since 1964, when the dam began to turn the river's force into hydroelectric power, the flow has slowed to 1/10 of that, forever changing the ecology of the Grand Canyon. Humans have lived here for thousands of years. Today, the canyon is home to the Hualapai and Havasupai Indians. A millennium ago, the canyon sheltered the Anasazi people. Their descendants are the Hopi, and the canyon remains their spiritual touchstone. In 1540, the Spanish explorer Coronado was searching for the fabled golden cities of Cibola. Hearing of a large river, he sent a band of men to look for it, under the command of Captain Garcia Lopez de Cardenas. Hopi guides led the Spaniards to the south rim of the canyon, but then withheld their secret, how to reach the river below. Lacking water, the captain had to abandon the expedition. One sacred site the Hopis did not want the Europeans to find was the Sipapu, the place from which, according to their creation story, human beings first emerged onto the Earth's surface. Today, Hopi still make an annual pilgrimage into the Grand Canyon.
This Grand Canyon is very sacred to us because the Hopi people and our kind of people all come out from here. Because we have Sipapu here. This is where we come to pray. We gather salt, colors for paint, herbs and evergreens for use in our ceremonies.
For the Hopi, the Sipapu, their womb within the earth, is a constant reminder of the common origin of people everywhere. For others who come here, the Grand Canyon itself is a kind of Sipapu. This great canyon puts human life into perspective. It is but an instant within the immensity of time. This is the land of dawn, the Serengeti. Upon the grassy plains of this African savanna, extraordinary creatures first saw the light of day. A descendant of the dinosaurs, virtually unchanged for 190 million years. A mammal that grows to a height of 18 feet. A gregarious water bird. And a recent arrival in the animal world, man, a two-legged, tool-using member of the primate family. It was on this savanna that human life evolved. Man has probably been here ever since the ancestors of humankind left the forests of Central Africa. What drew them is what draws people still, millions of years later, an abundance of animal life. The Maasai tribe call this vast plain Serengeti, or Great Open Space. One reason many creatures survived here over the ages is that these tropics did not endure the extreme climate changes of the Ice Age. It was East Africa's reliable water supply and abundant vegetation that supported the wildlife. The Masai Mara, Kenya's portion of the Serengeti ecosystem, is home for almost 100 species of mammals, reptiles and amphibians, and more than 300 kinds of birds. Many people come to East Africa to see the Big Five: African elephants, black rhinoceroses, African buffaloes, lions, and leopards.
It was not like a herd of cattle or of sheep, because it was wild.
Wrote aviatrix Beryl Markham in her autobiography, West with the Night.
And it carried with it the stamp of wilderness and the freedom of a land still more a possession of nature than of men. To see 10,000 animals untamed and not branded with the symbols of human commerce is like scaling an unconquered mountain for the first time, or like finding a forest without roads or footpaths or the blemish of an axe.
Each summer, thousands of zebras and more than 1 million wildebeest migrate north into the Masai Mara. This annual spectacle is one of the greatest shows on Earth. Because of their numbers, the wildebeest often take center stage. With its bull-like head and horse-like flanks, the wildebeest, or white-bearded gnu, is a strange-looking attraction. Once described as something made out of spare parts by a committee, the wildebeest travels about 1,000 miles each year in search of water and green grass. In January, when the monsoons blow in from the northeast, the wildebeest leave the Masai Mara, following rain clouds south into neighboring Tanzania. With them come fellow travelers. After the fellow travelers come the predators. And after the predators, scavengers. Each year, thousands of wildebeest die crossing the Mara River as they head south to the Serengeti. It is the calcium-rich grass on the plains that lures them, even at the risk of their lives. The Serengeti Plain stretches between Lake Victoria and the Crater Lake Highlands. Exactly where the animals go depends on changing conditions of weather, terrain, and food supply. Hyenas and flamingos, predator and prey alike, need water. Each animal in its own way must solve life's great riddle: how to eat without being eaten. Leopards are known to kill for the sake of killing and are able to adapt to many kinds of habitat. And like man, they tend to mate for life. Omnivorous man is at the top of the food chain. The Maasai were once nomadic, following wild herds across the Serengeti. According to Maasai traditions, Enkai, the creator, gave grass, animals, and milk to his people. Although the Maasai consider it their right to hunt all the wildlife in their region, they are natural conservationists and usually hunt only buffalo and elands. The Maasai's coexistence with wild animals is part of their heritage. Unfortunately, some of the Serengeti species are threatened by poachers. Protecting the wildlife of the Serengeti will enable future generations to witness the wonder of life in this land of Genesis. To behold this great migration is to share a timeless experience unchanged since the dawn of man. North of the Serengeti stretches a forbidding terrain where the power of the sun makes survival a daily challenge. It may have been here, in the world's largest desert, that human beings first developed a sense of wonder. This is the Garden of Allah. In Islam, it is said that the Lord removed most animal and human life from this place so that he could walk in peace. How large is this sanctuary called the Sahara? The desert mocks the notion of borders. Indeed, borders of many countries in the Sahara are literally lines in the sand. How big it is depends not only on how the Sahara is defined, but also on when it is measured. Over time, the desert shrinks and expands. Various factors determine the size of a desert: global wind currents, the number of grazing animals, and especially the amount of rainfall. Only 1/7 of the Sahara is sand. More extensive are the gravel plains, known as regs. These are even more devoid of life than the sandy expanses, which are called ergs. Rock carvings made by prehistoric hunters reveal that this region was once a grassy plain, with wildlife like that of the Serengeti. These images prove that vegetation was once abundant here. Around 8000 BC, this region began its slow transition into desert. Herds of wild camels made their home here. Nomadic people, perhaps the ancestors of these Tuaregs, domesticated the camel. It is an amazing beast. A camel can carry up to 1,000 pounds. It is able to survive without a drink for up to 10 months. But contrary to myth, a camel does not store water in its hump. The hump is a reserve of fat that provides energy when no food is available. Before cars conquered the continents and airplanes shrank the globe, the caravans crossing North Africa were a network of trade that connected the peoples of Africa, Asia, and Europe. Founded by Tuaregs in the 15th century, Agadez, a city in the Republic of Niger, is a center for commerce. Yet for all the comforts of city life, these people of the Vale love nothing more than the desert.
To live in the bush with camels and sheep is the Tuareg way of life. We only come into the city when we need something.
Agadez has seen many caravans come and go. Some journey west, 750 miles to Timbuktu, or north, 1,700 miles to the Mediterranean coast. Others travel east through the formidable Tenere Desert, carrying grain to the salt mines of Bilma. One of the secrets of survival in the Sahara is salt. It can be more precious than gold, for salt helps the body retain water. In summer, when the heat may exceed 150 degrees Fahrenheit, it is possible to lose a gallon of water a day. Taking salt and drinking water prevent dehydration beneath the fiery sun. The desert is like an ocean, although what is most abundant at sea is scarcest here. In the Sahara, dunes can tower hundreds of feet high and stretch more than 100 miles. Dunes move with the prevailing winds. Like a wave, they advance, only more slowly, perhaps a foot a day, as winds lift grains of sand up the slopes and over the crests. This vast expanse lacks features that can orient the traveler. The horizon stretches uniformly for hundreds of miles. In such terrain, a landmark is rare and valuable. A mistake can be fatal. Misread the stars or fail to find a landmark, and the traveler may miss the oasis, that tiniest of islands in the waterless sea.
Water is life. Nothing can live without water. During the rainy season, water comes down the riverbeds, but the water is like a swamp. By digging a deep well, that will give us good water, and by drinking the water from the well, we will not get sick.
At first, to the traveler's eye, the Sahara seems to offer no signs of life. From space, it looks like the surface of a lifeless planet. Yet living things do make their home here. Everything that survives in the desert faces a double challenge: getting enough water and preventing its evaporation. Insects solve both problems well. From vegetation and from other insects, they extract liquid. Burrowing beneath the sand keeps them cool. Plants may push roots deep beneath the sand or extend them laterally to capture surface moisture. A single grass plant may have 50 miles of roots. For human inhabitants of the desert, survival often depends on factors beyond their control. The distance to the nearest well, the strength of a camel, a chance meeting with a stranger, all can mean the difference between life and death. Not surprisingly, a common expression is Inshallah, God willing. It was in this desert that the human mind first embraced the idea of monotheism. Monotheism emerged in Egypt in the 14th century BC, when the pharaoh Akhenaten renounced the old gods. He proclaimed that the sun was the one and only divinity. About a century later, Moses received a revelation from a God who could not be seen. God's prophecy gave Moses the courage to lead his people out of slavery into freedom. In the Sinai desert, the Hebrews made their covenant with the Supreme Being, forsaking all other gods. 2,000 years later, in the Arabian desert, Muhammad, the founder of Islam, also had a revelation. He proclaimed that there was only one God, Allah. This faith spread rapidly across the Sahara, where distances hindered only those who lacked the will, the skill, and the faith to cross it. Traditionally, Muslims make a once-in-a-lifetime pilgrimage to Mecca, their sacred city in Saudi Arabia. Over the centuries, millions have crossed the Sahara en route to this holy site. If God wills it, inshallah, the travelers will reach their destination before they meet their destiny. Of all the falls in the world, Iguazu may be the most spectacular. Iguazu, in the Guarani language, means great waters, or much water coming down. This paradise straddles the border between Argentina and Brazil. The people of this land, the Guarani, also call these falls the place where the clouds are born. A rich ecosystem surrounds Iguazu Falls. From the rain that gives the rainforest its name, from rising spray, water nourishes an abundance of living things. Trees of many species, flowering vines, orchids, iridescent butterflies, toucans, macaws, and parrots of exotic varieties and color. The Iguazu River originates in the Serra do Mar, a mountain range near Brazil's Atlantic coast. For almost 820 miles, the river flows through southern Brazil, bordering Argentina during the final 75 miles of its journey. Wending its way over the stream-crossed Paraná Plateau, the Iguazu grows in volume. The soil and rock it carries from the forest floor give the river its distinctive color. Its descent is the most dramatic in South America. Most of the Iguazu plunges into a deep, narrow canyon known as Devil's Throat. Waters that escape Devil's Throat fan out across the plateau before pouring over the precipice. Each fall has a mesmerizing power as water crashes into an abyss of rock and mist. On a sunny day, myriad rainbows appear and vanish within the clouds. Refracted light creates this continuous dance of color. Within the rainforest dwell howler and Capuchin monkeys. The Capuchin derive their name from Christian monks. In Italian, Capuchin refers to the hood that a Franciscan friar wears. Unlike their African and Asian cousins, monkeys of the New World have grasping tails. Naturalists have wondered why apes and human-like primates never evolved in the Americas. Some speculate that it's because monkeys on this side of the Atlantic never descended from the trees. They never had to. The rainforest provided everything the monkeys needed. Above the treetops flock the toucans. A sociable bird, they roost communally. Both male and female have beautiful plumage. The Guarani have lived in the rainforest since time immemorial. Their legend about the waterfall's origin is as fanciful as the falls themselves.
One day long ago, the god who lives in this forest saw Naipur, the daughter of a shaman. The god spoke to her. "You will come with me to my temple, and whatever I will, you will do." A warrior named Karoba loved Naipur. Taking a boat out into the fast-moving Iguazu River, the couple tried to escape the forest god. But the god saw them flee. He became angry. In their path, he created a precipice of cataracts. Their boat plummeted over the falls. Naipur was transformed into a rock at the bottom of the abyss, to be hidden forever by a cloud of mist. At the brink, Karoba was turned into a tree, forever to gaze down the face of the cascade, hoping for a glimpse of Naipur's veiled beauty.
For countless generations, the Guarani have buried their dead near Iguazu Falls. It is a fitting place. The Guarani believe that each person throughout life harbors the soul of a butterfly. And this region lures swarms of butterflies, about 500 different species. One day, the Guarani, who lived on islands facing the Atlantic, spotted something strange. Ships with trees inside of them loomed on the horizon. Because the Guarani wore ornaments from the Inca Empire, the Spanish explorers believed that they had found El Dorado, a mythic land of silver and gold. Alvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca was the first European to see Iguazu Falls and live to tell about it. Unlike most explorers of his day, who regarded indigenous people as subhuman savages, Cabeza de Vaca believed that the natives were human beings and had souls. As he led 276 men across the rainforest, Cabeza de Vaca punished anyone who would harm a native. In January 1541, the Spaniards reached the Iguazu watershed.
We were walking through the country of the Guarani Indians, all of whom received us with much pleasure. They brought us corn, chickens, honey, and other sustenance.
Guarani guides told the explorer that a hostile band of natives might attack him near the Great Waters. The explorer divided his men. Most of them walked along the bank with the horses. 80 men went with Cabeza de Vaca in canoes. They pushed off near the base of the cascade.
That water falls with such force that its foam leaps back up more than 2 lances high. So it was necessary to take the canoes out of the water and carry them on land past the waterfall.
Below the falls, the Spaniards encountered Guarani, who wore paint and feathers. They carried bows and arrows. They were dressed for war. But the sight of mounted men terrified the warriors. To them, the Spaniards were strange beasts with the lower body of a horse and the upper body of a man. But Cabeza de Vaca placated them, speaking through interpreters and offering gifts. Finally reassured that the Spaniards were human after all, the natives helped them cross the raging river. Though Cabeza de Vaca would continue his search for El Dorado for the next 19 years, nowhere would he discover a more spectacular treasure than Iguazu Falls. There is more life per acre here than anywhere else on Earth. Here, where hundreds of kinds of trees reach for the sun, the entire Amazonian forest is, in a way, one vast intertwined tree of life. A single tree may support some 400 species of insects. On vine-laced branches high in the jungle canopy, move monkeys, bats, snakes, and birds. Of the life forms that are known in the world, about half are found in the Amazon basin. Covering 2.5 million square miles in 9 different countries, the largest rainforest in the world shelters many of the Earth's undiscovered species as well. Rainforest, to the untrained eye, looks paradoxically monotonous. Only scientists and the human inhabitants of this jungle know where to find many of the 4,300 bird species. 125 kinds of mammals, 100 species of reptiles, and 30 million insect species that live within, above, and below this tangle of vegetation. Most animals live 30 feet or more above the ground, amid branches so thick that these creatures of the canopy are often out of sight of their own kind. This three-toed sloth thrives on the leaves of the cecropia tree. It hangs almost immobile for weeks on end, earning its name. On the ground, the sloth can neither walk nor stand, but it can swim. Eco Park is a 2,000-acre island in the center of the Amazon. Here, Mark van Roosmalen, a Dutchman who works for the Natural Institute for Amazon Research, provides a home for injured and confiscated monkeys.
We have, at the moment, 20 species of monkeys from the Amazon. We have a very rare monkeys that are never on exhibit, like the white vacares. They are from the flooded forest. The purpose of this monkey jungle is scientific and conservational. I would like to bring endangered species to this natural habitat where they can accumulate the knowledge of the forest in order to survive.
Howler monkeys keep their troops together by vocalizing. A kind of loudspeaker built into the larynx enables their cries and hoots to be heard for 3 miles, an intimidating sound for would-be predators and members of rival howler bands. During the sultry heat of midday, even howlers fall silent as they rest within the verdant canopy. "125 million years ago, the Amazon and Africa's Niger were probably one river, flowing west into the Atlantic across Gondwanaland. Then that gigantic landmass, which contained the present-day continents of Africa, Eurasia, Australia, Antarctica, and the Americas, began to break up. As it drifted to the west, South America crashed into a tectonic plate that underlies the South Pacific. This collision with the Nazca Plate forced the Andes to rise. Now blocked by an impenetrable barrier, unable to flow the mere 100 miles west to the Pacific Ocean, the river spread out to the east, forming an inland sea. Eventually, it broke through to the Atlantic, resulting in the 3,900-mile Amazon River, the second longest in the world. There are more kinds of birds in the Amazon basin than anywhere else on the globe. Many feed on the insects that flourish in this climate. The tropics lack nature's best insecticide, cold weather. Plants protect themselves from infestation by producing potent chemicals, some of which have medicinal properties.
Los ribereños de las zonas lo conocen como achiote.
People along the river call the sap achote. Scientists tell us this can be used to cure conjunctivitis.
Indigenous people use plants for healing and for purposes less curative. Natives of the Amazon put curare on the tips of arrows for poison. Curare slows the heart. A lethal dose stops it entirely. In modern hospitals, surgeons use a curare derivative as a muscle relaxant for heart operations. In an effort to create synthetic counterparts, scientists collect plants that indigenous people use. Each property of these plants is carefully analyzed in the hope of discovering the secret to synthesizing their curative chemicals. One of the paradoxes of the Amazon basin is that the ground supporting this profusion of life, 250 tons of biomass per acre, is barren a virtual desert. Most of the nutrients in this ecosystem are found in the canopy, 30 feet above the forest floor. Organisms high within the branches decompose quickly in the humid heat, providing nourishment for new life. This forest is a giant organism that recycles nutrients and moisture at a rapid rate. As sunlight warms the trees, vast quantities of vapor rise from the forest canopy. Clouds gather, and torrential rain, sometimes 100 inches a year, replenishes the watershed. 1/5 of all the fresh water on Earth flows through the Amazon basin. One single tributary, the Rio Negro, carries more water than all of the rivers of Europe combined. Forests surrounding the Rio Negro are periodically flooded. As the waters recede, organic matter washes into the river, giving the Negro its dark color. The confluence of the Negro and the Amazon near Manaus is the world's richest freshwater fishery, and it yields a greater diversity of fish than any other waters on Earth. The giant pirarucu can grow 9 feet and may weigh 200 pounds. Though a fish, it behaves in some ways like a mammal. It cares for its young. Fingerlings follow their mother for up to 4 months. Having a lung as well as gills, the pirarucu rises to the surface to breathe, an easy target for the harpoon of a fisherman. Many a fisherman has lost a toe or a finger landing the omnivorous piranha. But the piranha's primary food is other fish. Often a piranha may take a bite of another piranha. This is one way that these schools keep their food supply abundant. One of the reasons for the astonishing diversity of life forms in the Amazon is that until recently, there was no one dominant species. There was enough food for all, and of so many different kinds that a multitude of creatures were able to establish a unique niche. Only in recent decades have human efforts altered this environment on a major scale. Road building, mining, damming, and jungle burning have been destroying the rainforest at the rate of 13,000 square miles a year, an area about the size of Switzerland. If this pace continues, the Amazonian ecosystem will be a memory within 100 years. Those who appreciate nature's wisdom ponder whether human wisdom will grow in time to save this primeval wonder, a tree of life that shelters half the genetic heritage of life on Earth. In the center of Australia, a desert, once the floor of an ancient sea, extends to the horizon. Then suddenly, an island of rock appears. The presence of the largest monolith on Earth upon the flat Australian terrain is one of many contrasts this amazing and sacred place offers to those who behold it. More than 1,000 feet high and covering a square mile, this hunk of sandstone is the eroding top of a mountain. It may extend 4 miles beneath the land surface. Around the rock, debris that over the ages has washed down its sides buries the mountain ever deeper. One expects strata of sandstone to be horizontal, but 300 million years ago, a violent upheaval thrust the former ocean floor on its side. Since then, erosion has worn grooves between the vertical layers. At first glance, Ayers Rock seems devoid of life. But in a sense, it is a massive oasis. Around it, abundant plant life grows, nurtured by water that pours off its walls during desert storms. The stains that run vertically down its surface, like vertical bathtub rings, remain long after the waterfalls have run dry. At the base of the rock lies Mortijulu, or Maggie Springs. Aborigines have long hunted here. Kangaroos and other animals come to drink and eat fruit and seeds from the plants that this waterhole sustains. This island mountain has two names, Ayers Rock and Uluru. These names suggest two different visions of the world. A 19th century explorer, W.C. Goss, gave the rock its colonial name to honor Sir Henry Ayers, the Premier of South Australia at the time. Although Ayers never owned the rock, the name Ayers Rock brings to mind the pervasive European concept that one can possess pieces of the earth, that part of the natural world can belong to a human being. Aboriginal people call Ayers Rock Uluru. Like indigenous people everywhere, they have a personal relationship with the land. Unlike many Australians who refer to the Ayers Rock region as the dead heart of their country, Aborigines see Uluru and its environment as a living presence. They regard their culture as a thread in a tapestry in which plants, animals, the land, and human beings are interwoven. The desert harbors many forms of life, including the witchetty bush, the kangaroo, and the thorny devil lizard. Aborigines use the roots of the witchetty bush to make spear shafts. Another plant, spinifex, is the source of an adhesive putty that this man is making. The putty can glue a spear point to its shaft or a handle to a cup. Aboriginal people work with Australian National Park personnel so that non-Aboriginals will learn and respect the indigenous traditions of this land.
So this is Kitty, the glue that's used to stick the stone onto the end of the implement so that you can use the stone to cut up some meat. Kitty.
To see Uluru at different times of day is to appreciate the subtle palette of sunlight and shade. As the hours pass, a spectrum of colors is revealed beneath these southern skies. Like other landmarks in their world, Uluru reminds Aborigines of the dream time, an oral tradition that is the basis of their culture and heritage. For tens of thousands of years, Aborigines from surrounding areas have come to Uluru. Here they perform ceremonies that bring to life the birth of their world, when ancestral beings created the features of the landscape. The sites where the Aborigines perform these sacred ceremonies are off-limits to non-Aboriginal visitors. But some places where indigenous ceremonies once took place are open for viewing. Pulverized rock mixed with water and other natural materials creates these colors. For the Aborigine, these cave drawings are alive with meaning and charged with power. Like the prehistoric cave art in Lascaux, France, this language of images may have originated tens of thousands of years ago. Yet Aboriginal culture, unlike that of the ancient European artists, lives on. Theirs is the world's oldest continuing way of life. Aborigines sing of spirit ancestors, like the Hare Wallaby or Mala people, whose ceremonies are still observed at the rock. Like the Carpet Snake clan, from whom the Pitjantjatjara tribespeople trace their descent, they sing of journeys and rituals, wars and surprise attacks that have left their marks and traces on the land. To know these songs is to know the spiritual geography of the outback. However one views the origin of the monolith, whether in the events of the Aborigines' dreamtime or in the geological upthrusting of sandstone during the Cambrian era, Uluru stands today at a crossroads between ancient ways and modern lifestyles. The title to this region was returned to Aboriginal hands in 1985. The Australian government was then given a 99-year lease. For everyone who experiences this place, Uluru or Ayers Rock is a touchstone for one's vision of nature and sense of wonderment. Their towering majesty makes these mountains seem the epitome of permanence. The Himalayas are a sanctuary where people can almost reach the gods, and where the gods commune with the stars. This range, which contains the tallest peaks on Earth, changes in many ways. Erosion continually wears them down. Every year, the river systems that originate in the Himalayas carry massive amounts of mountain rock, forest debris, and soil into the Indian Ocean. The Himalayas also rise. An ongoing collision between two great continental masses created these mountains, and the collision continues today. As the northward moving Indo-Australian plate smashes the Eurasian plate like a giant fist, the Himalayas rise about half an inch each year. The roof of the world. That's what the ancient Persians called the Himalayas. These ranges include all of the summits on Earth that are more than 5 miles high. Mount Everest, which is 5 1/2 miles above sea level, actually touches the jet stream, which frequently blows snow off its peak. The people of Nepal recount a legend about the creation of the Himalayas.
In the beginning of time, mountains had wings. The mountains flew around the world as they pleased. But the Nepalese did not have enough water. So Indra, the god of rain, turned the wings into clouds. No longer able to fly, the Himalayas were earthbound. The clouds became a source of rain, which flowed down the mountains into streams and rivers that nourished the Nepalese.
Many who live in the Himalayas believe that these mountains are the abode of sacred beings. They are a place where immortals and mortals alike may meditate and seek wise counsel. For some, the mountains themselves are divinities. The Tibetan name for Mount Everest, Chomolungma, means Goddess Mother of the World. The Nepalese call her Sagarmatha, meaning whose head touches the sky. In the Himalayan region, several of the world's great religions flourish, including Hinduism and Buddhism. In Kathmandu, Nepal's major city, the wisdom of the great religions of the Himalayas is evident. In no other city do so many temples represent so many different faiths. Religious tolerance, the recognition that each faith is a path toward the same transcendent summit, is the guiding spirit of those who live in Kathmandu. According to an ancient Sanskrit proverb, 100 divine epochs would not suffice to describe all the marvels of the Himalaya. What is it about these mountains that inspires such awe?